Welcome to Mimi Stories 256. Please like, subscribe, and comment. A like means support. Let's continue with our next chapter of The Price of Her Belonging, 11. Now that everything seemed to fall perfectly into place, little Jenny's mind began to whirl with ideas. Her mischievous streak was alive. And well, as she turned toward Adoria with a teasing smile. "Hey, Adoria. No, how about I call you Ria?" she suggested, her eyes twinkling with mock seriousness. Adoria's face lit up, her smile widening in delight. "No problem at all. That's what my mom and some of our neighbors call me sometimes, too." "Really?" Jenny asked, pretending to be surprised. She clasped her hands dramatically, her bashful grin playing perfectly into her innocent act. "Then Ria it is." She leaned in closer, tilting her head curiously. "So, Ria, did you guys call your family? My family and I were really worried about you." The question landed like a pebble in still water. Adoria's cheerful demeanor faltered as her gaze flickered toward her mother. Her eyes, now filled with a mix of worry and sadness, darted downward, avoiding Jenny's. It was subtle, but Jenny caught it. George and Evelyn, standing nearby, exchanged a glance, their expressions growing concerned. "Jenny," her father said firmly, his voice cutting through the moment like a blade. "It's not polite to ask people such personal questions." Jenny turned to look at her parents, her face an expression of genuine confusion. "But Dad, Mom," she protested earnestly, "they're not just people. They're our friends now. We know them and they know us." She gestured toward Adoria and her mother as if presenting them to the world. Edith, smiling softly, chimed in with a gentle nod. "Little Jenny isn't wrong, Mr. Bailey," she said, her voice calm and understanding. "It seems she's just worried about us. But don't worry. Dear," she added, turning to Jenny, "though we don't have family to call, Ria here and I here are enough for each other. We take care of one another. Thank you for your concern, little one." Jenny's eyes widened, and her lips parted as if struck by a sudden revelation. "That won't do," she blurted out, her words hasty and filled with urgency. She stood up from where she'd been perched, her tiny figure radiating determination. "Mom, Dad," she continued, turning to her parents with an almost pleading look. "What if Miss Edith here got sick again? What would happen to Ria? She'd be all alone with her mom, and what if something terrible happened? I feel awful just thinking about it." Jenny's words came in a flurry, her voice cracking slightly for added effect. "Ria is my friend, my first friend I've found. I don't want something bad to happen to her. I'm so worried." George frowned slightly, scratching his jaw as he considered his daughter's impassioned speech. Evelyn placed a hand on his arm, her expression mirroring his uncertainty. Jenny didn't let the hesitation linger. She pressed on, her tone growing more insistent. "Why don't you come live with us?" she suggested, turning to Edith and Adoria with wide, imploring eyes. "We have a really big house. You'd both be so comfortable there." The room fell silent for a moment. Edith's eyes widened, clearly caught off guard by the unexpected proposal. Adoria looked up at her mother, uncertainty flickering across her young face. Jenny, sensing she had their attention, clasped her hands together as if begging. She had set her stage, and now it was time to play her part. She wouldn't relent, not until she won. Little Jenny stood firm, her tiny hands clenched as she awaited the verdict. Her bold invitation had thrown the room into a whirlwind of emotions, and now she watched the three elders, her heart pounding in her chest. George shifted uncomfortably, his voice tinged with hesitation. "Darling," he began, glancing at Edith for support. "Miss Edith's family isn't here. They might miss her, and she has friends she needs to return to. We can't just—" he faltered, searching for the right words. "We can't just ask them to leave everything behind and live with strangers." Jenny's face fell, her excitement dimming as sadness clouded her features. "But Dad," she said softly, her voice trembling, "they're not strangers anymore. We've just introduced ourselves, haven't we?" Her words hung in the air, fragile and full of longing. She paused, her bottom lip quivering before adding, "And Ria's my age. I could finally have someone to play with." George exchanged a worried glance with his wife. Edith sat stiffly, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her expression unreadable. The guilt was palpable in the room, a shared burden pressing down on them all. Jenny's loneliness had been a silent specter in their home for years. When Evelyn had been pregnant with their second child, they'd promised Jenny that she would soon have a sibling to play with. But after the miscarriage, everything had changed. George had forbidden Jenny from mentioning it, afraid it would reopen wounds that hadn't yet healed. Jenny had obeyed, burying her feelings deep inside, until now. George knelt down in front of her, his eyes softening as he looked into her tear-brimmed eyes. "Honey," he said gently, "we know you've been lonely, and we're so proud of how patient you've been, but we can't just ask people to leave their jobs, their homes, their lives." "I'll do it," a voice interrupted, barely above a whisper. All eyes turned to Edith. Her voice was soft, yet it carried a weight that silenced the room. She straightened her back, looking directly at George. "I'll stay," she said again, her tone resolute. "Adoria needs stability, and if she can find that here with a friend like Jenny, then maybe it's worth considering." "But Edith," George began, his voice tinged with shock, "this is a huge decision. You don't have to—" George's gaze fell on Edith, whose voice trembled as she spoke. "Actually, sir," she began hesitantly, her words faltering, I don't really have a job right now. I've been scraping by, honestly. As for friends, well, there are good neighbors who've been kind to us, but I doubt they'd miss us that much. Even if they did, we could always visit them now and then." "What is Edith playing at?" "Stay tuned. Let's find out together. Just a favor to ask. Please like a comment. Gives me more energy to continue posting and subscribe. Tell me whatever you think. It's an episode-based story. So tell me what you want to come next.